Look, I know we've all had the thought of, okay, why am I not getting what I want in life, right? Why have I had this thing that I've wanted for a long time and I haven't gotten to it? And you're saying to yourself, maybe even, and you're Googling and you're looking up on YouTube, like, oh, why am I engaging in self-sabotage? Why am I not getting what I want, etc., etc. And I'm here to tell you today in this video and explain to you why it is that actually, in every instance, always, you are getting exactly what you want, because it cannot be any other way. And that might sound like a complete paradox, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why that is and how you need to flip it so that you are going to get what you truly want. Because there's two types of wants. There's what you consciously desire, right? What you consciously want. And then there's what you subconsciously want. A great analogy about, consciously wanting something and subconsciously really wanting something else is women, frankly, because women always say, oh, I want the nice guy, I want the guy who does everything for me, this and that, consciously. But actually, subconsciously, they respond to something wildly different, because what they really want beneath the surface, but they're not even aware of that most of the time, sometimes they are, of that themselves, right? That's what you actually are working with, because the subconscious is 95% of your whole brain power and your decision making and everything, okay? It's the emotional center, it's the impulse center, etc. So in your case, as a guy who's trying to get rich, get successful, do some serious shit in life, you need to understand and uncover mostly what is lying in your subconscious and what you subconsciously really want, okay? Instead of only focusing on what you consciously want, because what you consciously want is, the thing that gives you direction. Oh, okay, I want to go there, right? But if your subconscious points in this direction, right, the other direction than your conscious goal is over there. Your subconscious, no, let's go over here. This is the way that you're gonna go, okay? And you can push and you can claw to get here, but you're gonna bounce back. It's like an elastic band, right? You can stretch a little bit with a lot of effort, and then you're gonna be pulled back. So what is this subconscious want? And just before we get into this, I'm telling you right now, most of the self-development shit on YouTube and whatnot, I try to be different than it just because I naturally am different than it. It's actually the wrong way to say it, trying to be different, but what I'm trying to do is give you the deeper layer of real shit, okay? A lot of the shit that I see on YouTube is just about like, okay, free tips to stay motivated, or, oh, you don't need motivation, it's just discipline, whatever. We need to work with your brain rather than against it. That's what this whole channel is about. It's essentially about setting yourself up to win, okay? And using your brain for you instead of against you, because it's gonna happen regardless. Your subconscious is active and is working, okay? So you better understand it and how to work with it, okay? So anyhow, let's talk about this. Let's take the example of you wanting to be rich, right? Well, if you want to be rich consciously and you want to make $1 million, right? You're gonna do 7 figures a year. And let's say that you haven't done this yet, and you know strategically how to do this. You're pretty damn sure that you could do it. And it's like, okay, everything aligns on that center, right? Like, you know how to do it, you know the general direction you need to go, and you know other people that are doing it, etc. And let's say that you've been trying for a couple of years. Well, then we need to look truly at, hey, what is the reason that you're not there yet, right? Is there something in your subconscious that is holding you back from, kind of going there consistently? Or maybe you go there a little bit and then you're pulled back by the elastic band that I just mentioned. Well, that's what we need to uncover. And if you're just sitting there by yourself watching this video, then you might want to grab a little pen and paper, grab a notepad, and kind of follow along with, this process, because this is not just going to be watching. We're actually going to do this shit. So you want to start asking yourself, why do I not want this? Okay. What about me doing 7 figures a year scares me? Okay. What about me doing 7 figures a year doesn't feel aligned with who I currently am? All those things, because essentially what it comes down to often is a element of identity. Okay. Because to be able to have that and do that and create that, you need to be that, okay, first. Now, I know that sounds a little bit up in the air and a little bit, okay, well, what the fuck does that actually mean? This and that, and it sounds like something, I understand, bro. I hear you. I know, but I can't get around the fact that it is true and that I've just seen it in my own life. And I know that the psychology side of these things is going to be the biggest thing that's going to hold you back or propel you forward. So I have to cover these things with you. I also don't like esoteric, up in the air type shit that's not clear and concise. I try to make it as clear and concise as possible. But the fact of the matter is that if you kind of know what to do, right, and you have a general direction and you have some certainty like, hey, I could do this, and you have been going at it for a while and it hasn't happened yet, then there is only one fucking reason. And that is that you are not the person yet you need to be to have that level of success, okay? I'll give you another example, right? Because this is just something that really illustrates it in a moment-to-moment basis very clearly. If you go out to a nightclub or to a bar or whatever, and you go talk to a pretty girl, let's say a normal girl, right? Just someone who you feel very comfortable around, okay? So let's say that it's a girl who's a 6, okay? Just to go by those fucking superficial number-based system, which is kind of gay, but for ease of words, we're gonna do this. So you're around her, right? And then you're speaking to her and you're great, you're charismatic, you're funny, you have no outcome, you're just yourself, right? And you're like very funny, charismatic, witty in the moment, okay? Then later on in that, but you're also not really interested in her, right? But you end up just whatever, exchange the numbers, whatever. And then later on in the night or at a different day, right? You meet a girl, somehow you get to talking, but she is just boom, right? 9, 10, whatever you want to say. Just you personally feel that she's out of your league. How do you behave now? Different, right? And that is because subconsciously you don't feel like you deserve her, right? Subconsciously you feel like that is too much for you, right? You don't feel safe with that, okay? And so that all comes from your primitive mind, right? That just wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you safe. So if you wouldn't feel safe with something, it's going to reject that automatically. And this is most of the time what we're going to be talking about when we say you don't really want it. You want it consciously, but you don't, okay? And so that is exactly that. And then what's going to happen? You're going to engage in self-sabotage. You're going to exit the conversation because you're uncomfortable or you're not, you're not going to be yourself, any of these types of things. And from there on, you're going to fail, right? And you clearly see this happen all the time. And that's just something you can even test out. You can see it on a moment-to-moment basis. You will never be able, maybe by chance or by luck or whatever, you'd be able to get a girl like that, right? But then you're not going to be able to keep her. And even if you would be able to keep her because you have some extra benefits, right, that she gets from you, whatever, maybe she was really in the zone where she wants, whatever, right? Then you're not going to have the relationship on your terms. And usually it ends up ending anyways, right? So that is just an example of that subconscious in a different area than money. But here, tying that back to the money thing, okay? Think about it this way. If you think about the amount of money that you want to make, the 7-figure thing, right? As an example, if that feels to you slightly unsafe, right? If you get a similar feeling as if you see a girl who's just beyond beautiful walking by, right? Like that a little bit too much tension, that you would be uncomfortable, right? That means that there's work to do, okay? And that means that you're gonna have to change and you're gonna have to think about, do you really want this? Now, and then change that into being very comfortable and safe with that. Now, that's the biggest side of it, right? That's most often the case, right? The feeling safe with and the alignment with your personality and identity and your self-perception essentially, and the level that you want to achieve. Then additionally, right, you might have also just whatever subconscious thoughts or ideas you have about the goal that you have at the same time, right? So sometimes it can also be something like that, where there is actual, or most of the time it's both, right? But there's actual clear-cut reasons in your subconscious mind that we need to uncover and take out. There's basically weeds in your mind, okay, associated to the goal. And this usually has to do with your value system, right? So if you ask yourself what is most important to you in your life, okay, then you're gonna get a couple of values, right? Or you're gonna get an idea of what you find very important in life. So I'm gonna give you a very simple example. Let's say that you have the conscious goal of like kind of wanting to become a bodybuilder, right? You just want to become really big because you've been doing fitness, you like it, whatever. But you haven't been able to actually do that. Well, it could be, right, that you actually know some bodybuilders, because let's be honest, most bodybuilders in general, if you just think of this in a very superficial manner and an overgeneralizing manner, most bodybuilders, they're just kind of like, the common thing is like, oh, these guys are stupid. You know what I mean? They're just like dumb, big dudes, roided up dudes or whatever, right? And they have no real intelligence, or they don't come across classy or whatever. That's at least a general opinion or a general perception of bodybuilders that you could find if you're gonna, ask a bunch of people about huge dudes. So anyways, let's say that is in your subconscious mind. You're not aware of it consciously, and you want to now consciously become a bodybuilder because of the health things, or because of like whatever. Not that it's necessarily the healthiest thing, but whatever reasons you have for it. It's not because of the exact thing that I just said. But you're not aware of the fact that you have this negative association to your goal in your subconscious mind, right? So you have this negative association to actually being that big, because you're like, well, it just doesn't fit me because I'm very classy and intelligent, and that doesn't really, you know what I mean? It doesn't match, and then I wouldn't be that anymore. Or like I would be more kind of stupid, right? Subconsciously, that could be the case. I'm just naming a completely random example, right? But if that's the case, then you're gonna have to reframe that thought, or reframe that subconscious belief, and install a new belief there, right? And the new belief would obviously be someone who is extremely big and ripped can be absolutely more intelligent even, or just as intelligent as anyone else. And you then find some examples of that, right? Find some examples of people who were very intelligent, classy, and smart that were big as fuck, right? And then that engrades that new belief system, because, belief systems, they, are built off of references, like a table with table legs, okay? So, that's the way to do it, to install a new belief. It's actually quite fucking simple. There's multiple ways to do it, but that's, the easiest, most straightforward way. Now, from there on, right, you're now walking around with a new mental blueprint, right? A new mental map for how to get to your goals, or not for how to get to your goals. A new mental map that's not going to, have you have any resistance towards getting to your goals. So it's really about just taking a fucking minute, right? And just fucking writing some stuff down, and asking, engaging in introspection, and then really getting to uncover the weeds that you have associated. Because if you got to understand this, humans are always motivated by pleasure and pain, right? So we move towards pleasure and we move away from pain, okay? So the problem is that if you have mixed associations to your goal, then you're going to be doing this, engaging in this self-sabotage, back and forth type shit, okay? And those negative associations can be extremely simple, right? It can, pretty much be anything. But if your goal is, to become rich, let's go back to the rich example, and you have pleasurable associations to that, because you will have more freedom, you will have more love in your life. Okay, let's not do that one. You will have more status. You'll be more famous. Whatever. You'll help more people. You have more impact. All of those things. But let's say here's a good example, right? That's why I removed love. This one, I removed that one. Okay. Let's say that you remove that those are your positive associations. That's the stuff that pulls you forward towards that goal. But let's say that you subconsciously believe that, if you're very rich, that then people are just going to be with you for the money. Your belief that, hey, the girls that I'm going to be dating, they're just going to be gold diggers, right? They're going to find out somehow that I have a lot of money, and it's going to be hard for me to find real people. Hey, that honestly, that's not necessarily a completely wrong thing, right? Yes, that could happen. But is it beneficial to have that shit in your head? No, it's something that you could think about, right? And just explore real quick, but you definitely don't want to have that belief, because if you have that belief, and if love and having relationships and this and that is something that is a high value of yours, which I would say for most humans is top 3 at least, for most is what I'm saying. Well, then you're definitely gonna run into some fucking self-sabotage, aren't you, right? Because like you can be pushing and running real hard towards this financial goal, but if you actually believe subconsciously, right? This is all very logical stuff if you really think about it for just one fucking second. If you actually believe subconsciously that, okay, if I would be multimillionaire, this, that, and that's your goal, then yeah, people are gonna view me as materialistic, or people are gonna use me for my money and for my resources, whatever. And especially in romantic relationship, I'm not gonna be able to find something real, whatever. Okay, if you actually believe that, then obviously you're gonna fucking hold yourself back, right? Because you have a painful association to becoming more wealthy, and you want to remove that, right? And this is where I say I call cap on those motherfuckers that just talk about discipline. Bro, I'm extremely disciplined, okay? Every boxing coach that I ever see always says I'm the hardest worker in the room, okay? And I've trained in some serious fucking places. I'm all about that shit. But I'm like, why can't it be both, right? Because you can be extremely, even if you have all of this, what I just told you, this mental map where you have that negative association, you can discipline through it, right? You can discipline your way there. But even if you would be able to, or let's put it this way, even if you would be able to discipline your way through to your goal, right? Then still the quality of your work, right? It's not going to be the same as if you're completely aligned, right? In like, okay, and it can take 15 minutes of fucking writing down shit and understanding like, hey, why do I want this? What would hold me back possibly, right? This and that. And just reframing and shifting those belief systems into something that's more, empowering towards the goal that you're trying to achieve. It's pretty fucking simple, right? Yeah, you might need some help with it. And if you do, actually, let me touch on that. Guys, this channel has been growing a little bit. And some people have asked me like, hey, can we go deeper? Can we go further in this personal development stuff, etc.? Now, as I've told you before, right, this is not my main business. I have a different company and we run ads for that and this and that. I don't really mention that a lot in this channel. If you want to see some of the business videos, then you can go around in the channel. But for you guys, if you want this, then I'm going to start a SKOOL group, okay, for essentially male self-development, and we'll do some group calls in there, this and that. And what I'm gonna do right now, because we're a tight, a very small community still. If you want access to that, you're gonna have to DM me on my Instagram, okay? It's @BoydHoek, BoydHoek. I'm gonna leave it in the description. For some weird reason, the channel had a strike, so we couldn't put any links now. But you're gonna message me SKOOL. Okay, SKOOL. Now, what I'm gonna do for you guys, anybody that messages me that within the next week or two, whatever, I'm gonna make it free now. Okay, I'm just gonna let everybody enter for free. This is gonna be your advantage because nobody's in it yet, so I'm not gonna charge for it, right? But I like this stuff, right? So I'm just gonna start this thing for free, and then later on, potentially I'll make it paid, okay? But if you want to join up now, you're going to be able to do so for free. Just message me SKOOL on Instagram, and if enough people say that, then I'm going to start it right away, and I'm going to give all of you guys free access, and we're just going to have a group together that we're going to get going, all right? And in there, we're going to talk about all the same shit that I speak about here on YouTube. We're going to do some calls. I'm also going to speak about business and how to start an online business and how to make money on the internet. We're going to speak about boxing. I'm going to bring in one of my boxing coaches as well. He's going to teach them in there. These are some of the ideas that I've had so far. I literally just had this idea this morning, okay? I was doing some work, and I thought, fuck it. Why don't we introduce it today on the vid? All right? So once again, do that right now. Pause the video. Do it right now if you want to, because if not enough people DM me about it, then obviously I won't do it. Either way, just a passion project. So getting back to the point at hand, right? If you just analyze that, what you want and what you really want, which is the subconscious thing, then you're going to be able to really get into a place where you're like all of you is going in the same direction. Like you can discipline potentially your way through something, but I view it like this, right? Why, if you're going to do a race where you're running around the track, right? A 500-meter sprint or whatever. Let's say that you're going to do that and you essentially have a fucking parachute. One of them little parachutes that sometimes boxers use when they're running, or athletes in general, to gain endurance because it has resistance. Let's say that one of them fucking things is attached to you and that you just are gonna run, right? And you're, instead of just looking around, looking behind you, and if the only objective is just be fast in that moment, right? We're not talking about training. Then wouldn't it be smarter to take 2 seconds, look behind you and cut that shit off? and then run, instead of having this fucking bag or this fucking parachute behind you when you're trying to run away. Okay, it doesn't make any sense. Now, the analogy there obviously is that you're trying to run, go towards your goals, and you're just leaving a parachute behind you that's basically pulling you back the whole fucking time, right? So it might be intelligent to just take 10 minutes and cut the parachute off, right? And you do that by first creating awareness. That's why I say, hey, write some shit down for, oh, this is my goal, right? What could possibly be anything that I wouldn't want about my goal? What are my values? Okay, are these values all increased when I would hit my goal? Or can I visualize that potentially some of these values would be decreased, right? Get those answers out. Get the negative shit out. Most people are like, oh, law of attraction, oh, visualization. Okay, bro. Well, if you're just visualizing and just focusing on the positive, but you're not just getting your awareness and shining a light on the negative, then obviously that parachute, it's gonna fucking stay, right? And then you're just running with a parachute behind you. So look back real quick. Okay, what's there? All right, let's eliminate that shit. And now we're gonna focus just on the positive again and go to our goal, right? So this is all to do with what is it that you really want, because most people are not aware. As I just said, awareness is key. Most people are not aware of what they truly deep down want, okay? I'll give you another example. You know these girls, right? Or women, whatever age they are, to be honest, it spreads along, that keep returning. I've had some girlfriends like this, right? Or you know, friends that are girls. It never makes any fucking sense to me why in English, you know, girlfriend is the same word as a friend who's a girl. It's so annoying, honestly, in day-to-day life. Couldn't you guys fucking figure out something better? If someone has a better suggestion for me, please drop it in the comments. So anyway, some of these girls, right, they go to these relationships, and these relationships, they're abusive, and they just can't leave the person. Or if they do leave the person who's fucking abusing them mentally and often also physically, then they find a new person who does exactly the fucking same, okay? You always got to look at people's actions, not at their words, because their words is what they think they want, right? And their actions is what they really truly respond to and what they deep down really want, okay? But they may or may not be aware of that themselves, right? So that's just something that you really wanna understand, okay? Because I know a lot of you boys, you've been getting fooled out there, okay? Because these girls are telling you like, oh yeah, I want like, you know, this, that, provider, nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And you're just getting your ass handed to you out of there because that's not what people truly respond to most often, okay? Now, I'm all about being a good person and all of that shit, but I just understand human nature as well, okay? And that, by the way, completely is not just for girls, right? A lot of guys have the same thing, okay? And frankly, guys can also respond to someone who's like not nice, who's a little bit more aloof, this and that, and they can find that much more attractive because it's a bit more of a challenge. So it really depends on the person, but in general, I would say that. Now, getting back to the point, these girls, right, they go back to why, okay? It's very painful. Didn't we just fucking learn that people move away from pain and towards pleasure, right? And clearly, if you're getting slapped in the face or whatever it may be happening there, I've seen that kind of shit. Clearly, that's painful, right? That clearly is not something that anybody would realistically and rationally want. But on the other hand, it is something that actually she truly, or they truly, deep down want. Why? Because it's not pleasurable. What is it then? What makes it pleasurable, right? Pleasurable. Obviously not really pleasurable, but you get what I'm saying. For their subconscious mind, it's pleasurable. Why? Because it is familiar, okay? Because it is completely, weirdly enough, I'm just saying, it sounds completely ridiculous, but it is actually exactly what is safe to them, what they know, etc. Okay? And personally, I know that if you have experienced love like that, or if you have experienced, right, those kinds of things, then it's normal to you, right? Or that is just what you feel safe and comfortable around, because that is the familiar path, okay? I personally grew up with a lot of turbulent shit like that, okay? I'm not gonna get into that shit. It's probably not interesting to you guys, but either way, I can understand that from that perspective. But, you know, if you just look at it point blank, right, without going beneath the surface of why things are happening, you'd be like, why the fuck would anybody do that, right? Why the fuck would anybody go back to a situation like that? once again, it's because they feel familiar and safe there. And so that is their subconscious mind, right? And it's something that is hard to understand and control, right? If you don't know what you're doing and you don't know what you're really dealing with. But just to explain that concept, your brain, okay, hates things that are unfamiliar. It hates things that are new. It hates things that it doesn't know what to expect, okay? So I'm gonna sketch out a scenario for you. You have path number one, right? Path number one is painful, it's fucking annoying, you don't like it, it's uncomfortable, but one thing it is, familiar, okay? You've been going down that motherfucker your whole life, right? You know exactly what to expect. You know exactly what the situation is going to be. It's not going to be good, but you know what you're going to get, okay? So we can explain it like this. Let's say that you're actually a caveman and you have two paths that you can go down. One is through the bush, right? And you know, like, okay, this shit is like uncomfortable. Like there's all these branches and shit I got to go through. It's quite painful to go through. There's some animals, this and that. And then another path is a path that looks very promising and it's across the savannah. God damn it. So this other path is like the savannah, okay? It's looking a lot more comfortable. It's looking a lot more safe than the current path that you're already familiar with. But you're in the fucking caveman times. Anything could happen. Who knows? Maybe a motherfucking dinosaur is gonna pop its fucking head out, all right? So what are you ultimately gonna choose as being a caveman? Motherfucking Neanderthaler, all right? You're gonna go for the familiar path, right? You've gone down it hundreds of times. You know you're not gonna fucking die. And the other one, even though it looks like it could be much more pleasurable, right? Like it's good, like it could be much more comfortable and all that stuff, is dangerous because you don't know what to expect. And that's how your brain fucking works. And that is your subconscious brain. So consciously, you can rationalize all fucking day about the savannah, how beautiful it looks, the stretched out lands, okay? The comfort of not having to go through all these fucking branches. You can talk to yourself all motherfucking day about that, but it's not gonna convince your subconscious mind until you see it, okay? Your brain needs proof, not promises, right? How do you get proof, not promises? By actually going there. So you have to push yourself through that resistance, okay? And if you do that, right, you're gonna get proof that, okay, it is really cool, it's fine, it's safe, right? That's one way. But the other way is to actually start imagining proof. Because your brain, funnily enough, even though we just said it needs proof, not promises, proof can also be internal proof, because your brain cannot actually distinguish the difference between something you vividly imagine, not just you think about a little, you vividly imagine, right? And something that is actually real. They've done many studies on this. You can Google it if you want to, okay? Essentially, if you visualize running a race, you activate the same muscles you would if you actually are running a race. Because that's why when you're having a bad dream, you wake up and sweat. You're like, oh, what the fuck, right? Or if you're watching a scary movie, you're like kind of anxious, right? It's because your brain can't discern the difference, because it looks the same to it, okay? And that's why visualizing is extremely powerful, right? But it's in combination with things. You gotta be aware, right, of exactly the things that are also the negative associations. You can't just visualize the goal if you're not aware of what could also potentially hold you back, right? So then you just gotta, it's a combination of things. There's no one size fits all solution like that, okay? But either way, that is how your brain works. And once again, as I say, in every fucking video, you gotta work with your brain, right? Instead of having it work against you, because it's gonna work either way and it's very fucking powerful, okay? And someone once said, until you start shedding a light on your subconscious mind and what the fuck is in there, you're gonna run your life, alongside, according to it and call it fate, okay? I don't know exactly the quote. I don't remember who said it, but either way, it's very fucking true. So you want to make sure to analyze where you want to go, your point B. Then where are you currently? Point A. Okay, consciously, why do I want to go to point B? Okay, great. You have all these reasons. Okay, that's amazing. But subconsciously, why do I want to stay at A? Okay, what about it makes me feel unsafe? What about it makes me feel this and that, this and that? If there's any clear-cut reasons, you have to reframe those beliefs. Okay, oh, I don't want to do all this work. I don't want to be stressed out. Okay, what makes you think that you're going to be more stressed out here than here? Okay, and so if you're going to have all these clients, etc. You need to be reframing things, okay? So that you create a new belief and then find references to support that new belief, okay? And those references can be these videos, it can be these books, it can be other people that are doing the same thing you're wanting to do, etc. Okay? And then from there on, if there's no more clear-cut reasons, like logical things like, oh, that makes sense, why that would hold me back, then if you're still having issues, it's because of a sense of identity that you don't feel safe with that thing for no apparent reason, just because of the fact that you're not familiar with it, okay? Then that's going to be the case, and you want to tackle that regardless if you think it's the case or not. You want to always be tackling that. How do you tackle that? By imagining already being there and then feeling good about it. That links things together, okay? Because your brain is like an anchoring machine, right? As I just said, if that path looks dangerous, but you would go there and you're safe at the same time, I'm at the path, it's safe, path is safe, okay? That's how your brain works. So I'm imagining myself doing 7 figures a year. I'm being safe, I'm feeling good, I'm feeling like a motherfucker. Okay, let's go there. It's all positive. And you need to keep doing that, okay? Because your old programs are gonna be quite strong. You do need to do that shit on the daily, okay, for like 3-4 weeks until you override an old program. Every night, every morning, just look at it. It doesn't have to be the only thing, it's just that. And then throughout the day, go throughout your day with the awareness that you're already there with, from the place of awareness of like, I am this, okay? I am a 7-figure earner. I am like that. And also a very powerful way, you guys, to really raise your standards and really feel comfortable and safe with that new level is to be around people who are also that, because that makes you feel safe, and your subconscious is going to then push you towards that new level instead of pull you away. And that's also why leaving your hometown, not leaving your old friends, but just not spending time with very unsuccessful people too much, because that obviously is going to also rub off on you. And that's also one of the reasons that, as I mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to do that little SKOOL group. SKOOL.com is a platform where you can host communities and courses and whatnot. So I'm going to do this for free right now. If you message me SKOOL on Instagram at BoydHook, and then if there's enough people that want it, I'm going to let you guys in for free. And then later on, I'll start charging for it. But for now, we're just seeing it. We're just doing it. It's a passion project. And with that being said, hope this helped. And I'll see you in the motherfucking next one.